still so many things I didn't understand. So I went to Oxford, to one of the most exciting ancient DNA labs on the planet. Beth Shapiro was there too.
When I walked into Oxford, I knew the field was an absolute hot mess, but I also understood the potential. The ability to recover DNA from bones was so powerful. Eventually, while I was still there, Eske Villerslev joined us. Those very first couple of years where it was just a few of us, they were probably the most exciting. We felt like everything was just at our fingertips. If we could break through, if we could figure out how to really get DNA out of these things that we could believe, that we could trust. I recognized that it was going to be difficult, but I also didn't think that it was going to be impossible. And I felt that we were really at a turning point for the field.
Beth and I worked on some important papers. She was a powerhouse. I mean, she was one of the few pioneers really pushing the limits of ancient DNA. And apart from Beth, it was all men. So she was a pioneer in that way too.
If today I were looking back at myself as I walked into Oxford on that first day, I think I would say, watch out. You know what? There are going to be some bumps along the way, but ancient DNA is it. Go for it. In fact, I felt so strongly that ancient DNA was going to become really, really big, I devoted my life to it.
So I read hers of the Greenland samples, and she was not the last one. You have to take a risk to make a scientific career. And you also have to take a risk if you want to make groundbreaking science. If you had asked one of my teachers, well, what do you think will become of Eske? I'm pretty sure they would have said, well, worst case scenario, he will be a criminal. Best case scenario, he will be a societal burden, a loser. I mean, I remember in school, we were all asked to go up to the board and write a word, spell a word. And there was one of the students who said, well, has Eske been up to the board yet? And then the teacher looked at the board. No, because there's no mistakes. So I always was told as a kid, both by my family, by my parents, basically my father, but also my teachers, well, you're not too smart, right? So you have to somehow compensate.
The night and remind you that you told him a few hours ago you were going to do something for him. He has that personality. I like working with Eske, but I also hate working with Eske. It's exciting to work with Eske because he's so driven. It's just drive, drive, drive all the time. But it's also exhausting and kind of scary and infuriating at times because you're like, yeah, this is cool stuff, but Eske, I also have to sleep.
Is how these northern forests, these Arctic forests, might have shaped the species we see today. But what if hibernation in some mammals today actually came from when they were living at these high latitudes in these dark winter forests, right? Maybe this is where hibernation evolved for some lineages such as bears. We actually discovered a Pliocene bear fossil in Arctic Canada, but the fossil record doesn't give us evidence of hibernation. In theory, we could find it
distant, filled with strange animals that are now extinct. But at the same time, it feels, well, we have the same amount of CO2 in the atmosphere as the Pliocene, but we still have this giant Greenland ice cap. And we don't have forests around the Arctic. What gives? And the reason for that is because the ice caps are really slow. They have this really long response time. And you could think about it as, you know, you have a frozen lasagna, you put it in the oven's really hot, but it takes a long time for it to defrost. And that's what's going on right now. We have the ice sheets, they're in this warm atmosphere, and they're rapidly losing mass. One of the key questions of the Pliocene has always been, how much of the polar ice sheets will melt, and by extension, how high will sea level rise? And this has been a tricky question for a long time. Well, we finally found a site that tells us exactly how high Pliocene sea levels were. It's in a cave in Spain.
La situación de las cuevas de Mallorca es que periódicamente han sido inundadas por el mar, en momentos en los que este mar ha ascendido. Eso dio lugar a precipitados de carbonato cálcico que se dan en la superficie de estos lagos internos que se corresponden con el nivel marino justo al lado de la cueva. Uno de los niveles que tenemos aquí está datado en unos 3,2 millones de años. El nivel estaba a unos 16 metros por encima del nivel actual del mar. Perfecto.
Sea levels were almost 50 feet higher. 16 meters. Think about that. It's a scary number. It's a big number and it's a scary number. Because you think about standing at the shore today, think about what 50 feet looks like, look up, and then imagine how far inland the ocean would be going with a 50-foot sea level rise. It's hard to imagine what our world looks like with even 20 feet of sea level rise. Even the coastlines around the world would look dramatically different. Most of the major cities, Mumbai, Hamburg, London, New York, Los Angeles, everywhere you go, these cities are at risk. But here's the thing, if we do nothing and we just keep doing what we're doing, by the end of the 21st century, we will have a level of CO2 in the atmosphere, let's say around 800 parts per million, that now becomes equivalent to these time periods in the deep, deep past, like the Eocene, 50.
Compelling stories of the past reveal the how and why behind history's defining moments. Listen to Dan Snow's History Hit, new on BBC Sounds.